Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome. Let's see who's in. Oh, bad stream status. I'm not sure why. You can hear my voice is still a little off. I actually haven't had the flu for a while now, but my voice has been very slow to recover. Says not receiving data. Let's see what's going on, if anything. No, it says I'm streaming. Not sure what's up. Anyway, hopefully you guys can still... Oops, wrong one. It says waiting for me. No, looks like I'm going. Okay, always good. All right, here we go. Let's see who's in. Silver E55 is God, apparently. According to the chat, anyway. James Tiberius, Bill Knight, Autumn Nichols, Kyokuk Monty, Joseph Correa, Jacqueline, Sharkticon Na, Autumn Nichols, I already got you. PG2424, Plume, Sharkticon still has some voice cough. Yeah, I've had these before, and usually I get over them a little faster with the throat thing, but I have noticed that the last few years, every time I get one of these, my voice is different afterwards. So I'm wondering if I'm going to have a lot more low registers in my voice again after all this. So I survived Christmas. I hope you guys did. I was foolish enough to entertain yesterday, so I'm even more tired out than usual. Last year, I was smart enough not to entertain. I guess I forgot the lesson because I did it again this year, but it came out well. Got the house all clean. Let's see, Plume. My throat's been weird for a while too. Yep, yeah, it's just weird. I've been fine for like a week, and actually felt really good energy-wise today, really good. And still the voice, I don't know what's up. I mean, it's getting better, but it's just so slow. And I'm not even coughing now, so, I mean, there's really no reason to sound so horrible. It's me, Sia is here. Yes, I'm on the heating pads. My joints are killing me. That's PG2424. Yeah, my joints have been a little achy just today. Not sure why. Who knows? I kind of given up figuring it all out, really. All right, so let's get on with it now. I don't have a million Emmys. It's been a little bit of a slow week. Plus, I'm about 1 day behind on the comments. So I know there's some more links that people have put up that I just haven't checked yet. Actually was like 5 days behind earlier, and I finally caught up. And it's really cold here, so I'm kind of bundled up. I don't run the heater. It's just too expensive. I have a really high ceiling in it. It ends up costing a fortune, and I'm mostly heating the ceiling. So I just bundle up when it gets cold. All right, so this is another Bob Robertson one, and he noticed a couple of these, but it's interesting because I had noticed a couple of them also, and that is islands with weird stuff on them. He noticed Bunny Island, and let's see, was that his? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did Bunny Island. Get welcomed by an army of bunnies on Rabbit Island. I think I'll turn off the sound, but so this island is loaded with rabbits. And I guess they're all quite friendly. Japan's Okunoshima Island full of bunnies. And there are some conflicting theories as to how the furry friends took over. Anyway, so they're all real friendly bunnies. All right, I know this is one of Bob Robertson's. Pig Beach, Pig Island. Big Major K, Exuma, Bahamas. Never heard of Big Major K. I've never heard of Exuma. I've heard of Bahamas, but that's it. So this island has pigs on it. This one is not as weird because it doesn't have a million pigs, but it's the first I've heard of these pigs. Now, I have heard of the swimming pigs. That was a couple of years ago. But anyway, so that one's one he noticed. All right, this one I remembered from before. Cat Island, Japan's Cat Island. So this island is just packed with cats, and then tourists go there and feed them. See, in the old days, what would happen is that there would be a limit to how many of one animal an island could sustain. So you wouldn't end up with a gajillion of one animal on an island. There wouldn't be enough food. Now, on some of these, they're kind of saying that tourists are helping sustain it, but other islands, that's not the case. And, all of these creatures have to eat something. It's hard for me to imagine all these cats not fighting. It seems like in most of the islands, the creatures are friendly, although there are some exceptions. This is an especially weird one, Snake Island. I think I heard about this one about a year ago. The most dangerous island in the world, Brazil, Ilha de Queimada, popularly known as Snake Island, is home to thousands of some of the most venomous snakes in the world. Golden lancehead vipers, never heard of them. Local legend believes there to be about 5 snakes to every square mile. All right, that doesn't actually seem that many, but this looks like a lot more than that. Let's see what else is on here. So there's the island. They have a video on this I saw not too long ago. Yeah, that's the video. Anyways, it's just weird because it used to be that islands would have sort of a certain balance of animals. They wouldn't all there wouldn't be one island with just a mass horde of one kind of animal. So this is just weird. First there was just one, and they're just popping up all over. So I'm calling something suspicious going on with these islands. All right. Now, who brought this one up? This one is interesting. A lot of us only remember the one moon landing. So this happened on the second moon landing, which is probably why I never heard of it. All right, who brought this one up? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Apollo 8, which was the second moon landing, apparently, they transmitted the book of Genesis over the airwaves. It's the astronauts did, apparently. This Emmy is from Travis Forsyth, another one of the commenters on my channel. Thank you, Travis. And you'll note that there's been some Emmys on here. I mean, I'm not a total expert on the book of Genesis, but this is them transmitting it. I'm just going to play a little portion of it. I'm pretty sure you can hear this. I think I have it set up properly.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void.
God created the heavens and the earth. And here it's just the heaven. I think that was one of the Emmys. Anyway, just weird. I mean, it kind of makes sense that I've never heard of this because I did not have the second moon landing in my timeline anyway. Tourette's syndrome is another new disorder for me. Well, Tourette's is I heard about that about 10 years ago. So it's not, it's not like super new for me. Let's see where. I've been watching the Lincoln Memorial statue, and Lincoln popped his left thumb out. Lincoln Memorial statue. Let's check that one out real quick. Oh yeah, it does look a little suspicious. Not getting a really good view of it though. There. Yeah, that looks a little weird. He's sitting, his thumb is like that. It looks like he's throwing a gang sign or something. Look at that thumb right there. See if I can make it. No, it won't get larger. Yeah, I don't remember it like that. This hand looks a little bit different too. I remember it being a little more like relaxed. It looks a little clutchy right there. See what it looks like in this one. Nope, you don't see it bigger there, but you can get a pretty good view of it there. This right here looks very fishy. That's the one that's definitely an ME for me. His eyes are kind of buggy too. This one also, though, is sticking out. I don't remember either thumb sticking out, to be honest, but especially not that one. What's this thing? His foot looks weird too. I don't think I even remember this foot hanging over at all. I don't remember it being this weird rectangle thing. It looks like he's standing on a plank of wood, like he's got Japanese wooden shoes on or something there. I don't think his foot was ever sticking out before, actually. Huh. Anyway, those are the changes I'm noticing on Lincoln Memorial. See what you guys have to say. My invitation to your party yesterday must have got lost in the post. Yeah, it was probably, if you're in the post, then that means you're all the way in England. So, I must not have been able to get your plane tickets. Curiouser and Curiouser did black and white flamingos. I think I covered some dark flamingos a long time ago. They're not brand new to me unless there's a whole species of them. Which wouldn't surprise me at this point, but I did see black ones before. More pop-up islands. Yep. There's it's endless. The pigs one is a few months old. Yep. Cat Island from Japan too. Yep. Yoron Island. I've not heard of Yoron Island. Japan has got a ton more islands. Even some of the big islands are fairly new for me. Yoron Island. Yoronjima is one of the Amami Islands. I've not heard of the Amami Islands either. Yoron is an island located in the southern end of Kagoshima Prefecture. There's some new dog breeds on some of these islands, too, that are really cool. I'm waiting for them to create the perfect dog breed for me. I want them to look like, maybe like Huskies or Shiba Inus, but be like more friendly and nice to other dogs and people. And not stubborn like Huskies. Huskies aren't that mean, but they're stubborn and they don't listen and they run off. So, even though they're the cutest dogs ever. I had a half Husky once and I won't do it again. Cutest dog ever, but I'm not doing that again. Economy. All right, so where's it located? I'm totally spaced out today. All right. Here's a bunch of islands. Okay, so Yoronjima. Wow. The heck? I remember Miyazaki, but I don't remember Kumamoto. There's just a gajillion islands on here. Takshima, Ukshima. I don't remember any of that stuff. Just take a quick look at Japan in general. looks like it. Somebody mentioned before it looks like a dragon head. Japan does now. It looks like a dragon. There's the head and then there's like the body. Kind of like a seahorse, really. All right, Honshu is on there. Oops, that's not useful, is it? Hokkaido, yeah. Honshu, yeah. Shikoku, Kyushu. This one is fairly new for me. All this Ryukyu area here is, look, it's all the way almost down to Taiwan. It's hard to believe they still own that. Sakhalin, that one's a couple of years old, but I don't remember that one from before, about 2 years ago up here. Anyways, yeah, looks like there's a lot of stuff growing right there. Yeah, real moon landing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make about all that that fake stuff. I mean, maybe the whole world is fake. Maybe 2/3 of it's fake. Maybe just that's fake. I don't know. Maybe it was real somewhere and it's fake here. I don't know. You're on. Yeah, a lot of the new islands have really cool stuff on them. Let's see what we can find here. Maybe they'll have a neat dog breed for me. Heaven on Earth. Yeah, that sounds like an Emmy. Oh, look at that. Looks like they have like really shallow, long, protected areas for swimming here. Oh yeah, see, look. Neat. I've never even seen an image like that with the waters that clear that you could see down that far. Just that whole look like that. It's just the recent. Dang, my ears are ringing super loud right now. Weird. Okay, check that one out. Cazaral, another one like that. Beautiful. All right, let's see. Miniature dachshunds, perfect dog. Dachshunds. Well, first, the problem with dachshunds is that they're small, and around here, they're like coyote snacks. So, little bit too small. I like to get them more around 40, 50 pounds so they'll survive. Dachshunds also have other issues. They have back problems. They also have trouble. You have to have them be able to go out all the time because they don't hold their bladder that well. And around here, you wouldn't be able to let them out unattended because of the coyotes. So it would be a little tricky. Okay, we're talking about Lincoln Memorial again. Let's go back here. Yeah, I really don't remember that foot sticking off. It looks really strange. I'm really not accepting that shoe thing. Somebody was saying they remember him sitting up more straight. There's something different about the whole thing. I mean, he's sitting up straight. I think his... You know what I think it is? I think his knees are a lot higher. Like his legs are pushed up. I remember him. I don't remember his legs pushed up that high. The noise of my refrigerator changed. I think it shifted. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I was expecting a shift around now because in previous years, things happened during the Christmas, New Year's range. So I don't know if it's like the new year, so everybody's expecting change or what, but it does seem to make a big shift then. Need Input lives in Japan. Go to his channel. Yeah, I'm curious if he remembers. But there's that weird thing where a lot of locals don't see their own changes. Although I'm an exception to that rule because I do see the local changes that people say they see. I also see them. Almost always. Whoops, getting confused on the mice here. Okay. You might notice I'm looking down more. I had this separate table that I used to trot out here every time for live streams to put the other computer on. And I got lazy, so I'm putting it on a stool now. See if that works. Because that means I don't have to take a table in and out of here every day because the stool's already in here. Boxers are the cutest, but drool. Yep, nope, no drool for me. Boxers are also very energetic dogs, and I'm a little bit too lazy for that. Last time I had a Jindo, a Korean dog. I like them a lot, but they don't get along very well with other dogs. And it's hard to take them around traveling a lot because they just don't like this dog and they don't like that dog. And I trained her a lot, but she, there's a limit when they don't like dogs. It would be like if it was her, but she was a little more easygoing about dogs and people, that would be really close to the perfect dog. Because you could run her and exercise her, and then she'd be satisfied. And then when she got in the house, she was, mellow. Also, they're very independent, so they don't require you to give them attention every 5 seconds. Need input would be able to help with the islands. Lincoln's body language seems a little bit more timid. Yeah, he just doesn't look very stately with his legs all. I think it's really the legs, they're pushed up, and then it just looks weird. It just doesn't look like the chair fits or something. Japan has moved west, yes. Japan has moved north a ton. I would not say that it moved west. It's gotten closer to the mainland, and it's moved north. So we remember it down more by China, and now it's up by Russia. That's an older ME though. Like, it was already moved 2.5 years ago when I learned of the ME. Yes, boxers are hyper. We have a Jack Russell. So she is very chill compared to him. Yeah, no, Jack Russells, I can't handle them. They are the cutest dogs. And I really enjoy looking at other people's Jack Russells. But I just am way too lazy to have a Jack Russell. You got to know your own personality when you get a dog. Are you still sick? I'm really not really. I feel good with the rest of my body. But my throat has just been, and it's not sore anymore. It's just been really slow getting my voice back, really slow. I mean, I actually felt fine. I had a lot of energy. I got up really early. I played sports. I went to work. I stayed late at work. Yesterday I was up late because of guests and cleaning and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I really should be pretty tired, and I'm feeling fairly good. But my voice. I didn't even see the ruffles on the side of the chair. Now, last time, I have to say I'm not an expert at Lincoln Memorial long ago, but I did really look at it about a year or two ago and have looked at it several times. And that big pile of fabric over the side, which to me is really weird, that was there like 2 years ago. This big, it might be a little bit more prominent now, but it was there. It's the weirdest looking thing. And I don't know if it was there like 10 years ago or not. Two years ago, I thought it looked weird in that it might be an ME, but it's been there a while. For me, anyways. Kind of a space cadet today. I did not mean to click that. Let's see. Although I've got a lot of energy today, I've been kind of just mentally spacey. I don't know if it's just the whole Christmas thing or what, but this stain here, I don't know if that's new in this timeline or new, but I don't remember this stain right here either. See if it's in the other video, in the other pictures. It's not there, so maybe it's just in some of these. Yeah, that foot's bugging, man. That's bugging. That is not right. Such a weird looking shoe shape, too. That is just not right. Okay, anyway, so yep, good find, good find. Has anyone heard of the shoe bill? What the F is that? You know, it's funny because that to me is a really old ME. We talked about it 2 years ago. It comes up quite often because it is a really weird thing. But that's one thing we've really noticed on Retcon the last 2-3 weeks. A whole bunch of people are showing up on Retcon and they're saying, oh, this just changed and that just changed. And they're old ones like Houston, we have a problem flip-flop. People are coming on there saying it just happened last week. It happened 2 weeks ago. It's an old one. A couple others like that. They I don't know if they're just, showing up in the timeline or what, but there's been a lot of that. For me, shoe bill is kind of old hat for ME lands. And yes, they are very weird. And I've covered shoe bill before. Yeah, so yeah, I guess we have more coming in. I don't know. Shoe bill is new to you. Have you been watching the ME for like 2 years? Because shoe bill is something that was all over the ME airwaves for a while now. I mean, I can't even take credit for that one. I think that might have been what's his name? Life Matrix that I saw the shoe bill on. It might have been him. It was quite a while ago. Back before there was a gajillion channels even. All right. Eva, you're right about the blanket. Showed up a few years ago, maybe like 3 years. Yeah. The other thing is it looks like it's on both sides now, that blanket. And 2 years ago, oops, screwed that one up. I've got 2 mice and I can't keep track of them. Now I'm trying to see are these just reversed? Okay, so we have blanket with the clenched fist side. See it over here, there's blanket with the open fist side. So it's on both sides. I don't think it was on both sides before. I think it was just this one only. It's like his giant cape or something. It is a weird thing. Okay, so look at that. We've already had a half hour. All right, Lincoln Memorial. Can't keep track of my mice. All right. Got you. You're on island. Okay, this one, sandstorm lightning. I'm almost positive this is Bob Bobertson again, of course. Yeah, no, that's his. Sandstorm lightning. So we've talked about volcano lightning, other weird lightning. That lightning has changed. It's fatter now. It's got colors. It branches more. It stays there longer. It strikes the same spot over and over. Whole bunch of changes with lightning. Now, this is kind of an interesting one because there's been this kind of raging debate intermittently on Retcon where people are saying they don't remember dry lightning. And then people from desert regions that come on, and a lot of times they're people that we don't know, but anyways, they come on and they go, oh no, I lived in the desert and there's always been dry lightning. And then other people come on and they say, there's no such thing as dry lightning. Dry lightning's just when the thunderstorm is really far away and you can't see the whole storm, but the light flashes from such a distance because the desert's so flat that things flash and you see them way off in the distance and you don't realize there's a storm there too. So they're saying there's no such thing as dry lightning. Okay, but now with this sandstorm lightning, basically that's dry lightning. So you get the sandstorms in the desert a lot. So weird, they're not calling it dry lightning though, they're calling it sandstorm lightning. So this is a sandstorm, supposedly, and you'll see it flash a few times here. Now, see, it's kind of tricky because it doesn't exactly look specifically like a sandstorm, but you will see that it is a thing. One mystery of sandstorm lightning explained. All right, this is way back 2010. I can tell you there was no friggin' sandstorm lightning in my 2010. Look at that image. That's pretty extreme. It looks like those volcano lightnings I've had on lately. All right. So this is interesting because they're saying they never understood sandstorm lightning because sand is an insulator. So seeing sandstorms generating lightning would be somewhat like watching electricity emerge from a storm full of rubber balls. It has been an enigma for more than 150 years as to how sand grains can transfer the huge amounts of electrical charge needed for lightning to happen. Okay, whatevers. So then they have this whole thing where the particle field gets polarized and blah, blah. I don't really get it exactly. I'd have to think about this for more than 5 minutes to understand it probably, but they're basically saying that back in 2010 they figured it out, and that's what this article is about. One mystery of sandstorm lightning explained. So thanks to Bob for finding that one. He had that other link, and I found this one. The moon this morning, UK, very misty, foggy, and moon was super illuminated. The moon gets brighter and brighter. It really does. You know, in the Bible it says before the end times that the sun will get 7 times brighter and the moon will become bright like the sun. And I keep looking at it, and I swear, you know, the sky gets lighter every month. Is there anybody else in here from UK? There's usually a few UK people because the timing is really good for you. It's the morning over there. Plume says, yeah, even ears have different recollections. That's right. That's one of the standards we've discovered about the ME is that, as best we can tell, people experience the changes at different times. There tends to be like a big group that'll all experience together. But, you know, there's other groups that'll come in and there's stragglers that will experience it at different times. And sometimes you'll be in the main group and sometimes you might not be, and you'll be experiencing it and you'll be the only one. And also, people have different memories sometimes. So, like, I don't see in my timeline, Tank Man never died. But in a lot of people's timelines, that was an ME. But it doesn't... You know, I don't go around saying it's not an ME just because it wasn't for me, because I know how the ME works. Now I'm picturing him going everywhere with his blankie, Autumn Nichols. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with all that. And, you know, the hassle of having to carve in all that blanket material, and it's like, why is it even there? It's just weird. Probably have to keep an eye on that since it seems like it's expanding. Yeah. It's so cold in here. My tea is cold. Gross. All right. Flying fish, pink dolphins, narwhals, lungfish, always in my world. Nope, not me. No narwhals, no pink dolphins. We did not have river dolphins in my old timeline. They were just saltwater. Flying fish, I had those, but their wings, their fins were a lot smaller. They didn't fly as far. Lungfish. We had something called a lungfish, but it just meant that they could rise up to the surface and take gulps of air. similar to how the betas do, and the little fish in the little aquariums. They could breathe air, but they wouldn't like crawl all over, climb trees, and traverse deserts and stuff. They couldn't do that. They were there, but they couldn't do all that. Where's Bill Bird when you need him? Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen him around lately. Hopefully he's doing all right. Sandstorms are new for me. You know, we had sandstorms, but not the kind you see now. It would just be that it was sandy. I mean, it didn't look like the apocalypse when sandstorms used to come. And then they started saying like China had them, and then pretty soon they're everywhere. And now Arizona has these massive, they call them haboobs now. I've just been hearing that one the last few years. They're saying Arizona gets haboobs, and like, no, they didn't get those in my old timeline. Autumn Nichols, Tank Man is a guy that did or did not get run over by a tank in China. Yeah, in the Tiananmen Square incident. If you're just, if you're kind of old like me, you'll remember that was a big deal. But basically, this guy stood in front of a tank and made it stop, and everybody was like, wow, he's so brave. And in some timelines, he got run over and killed. And in other timelines, the tank stopped. I come from one of the stoppage timelines. Now, the event is still different for me in little more subtle ways, but he did live in my timeline. No cold tea, huh? Yeah. No. You know, that's another thing I keep forgetting to bring up, but for months now, my cold and hot tolerance has been very erratic. Like, it's about 60 degrees in here, and that's really not that cold. And, for hours I'll be really cold, and I'll think, gosh, it's like 50, and I'll go and it'll say it's 60, 61, and I'll be like freezing to death, and I'll put like 10 layers on, and I'll finally feel better. And a couple hours later, it's later at night, it's probably a degree or two colder, and I feel fine. And there's days when I'm not cold, and there's days when I'm cold, and like I don't feel sick. I'm just cold, and then later I'm not cold, and it's just like I think that I want to say that thermometer is lying sometimes. It's just weird. It's gotten worse over the last year or so. There's times when it's cold out, and I'm not cold. I mean, it's not really a hot flash because it lasts for like hours. I miss the true darkness of night. Very bright at night nowadays. Well, for me, the moon was always up at night, but the sky would still be black. So the moonlight would be down here, and you could see by it, but but it would be on a black sky, and you could still see all the stars, even right next to the moon. So it's different here now. That's another thing I kind of forgot, but I have these. They're like a laser light projector system, and for Christmas you put it on, you like put it in the bushes or something, plug it in, and it projects millions of little pinpoints of light up onto things. And I project it up into this big 60-foot tree that I have, so it makes it look like the whole tree is lit by little lights. And the other convenient thing is it only takes about 10 minutes to set that thing up, so it saves a lot of time, and it looks really cool. But one thing I really noticed this year, a number of things. One is that you just don't really, those lights just don't stick out because it's just lighter outside. It used to be so, even last year, it was so dark out here. We don't have street lights nearby, we don't have sidewalks, and, the city is not that far off, but it was dark. So when I put those laser lights up in years past, they were really striking. And this year, they've lost a lot of their luster because it's not that dark out here anymore. It's harder to look for those dots to really show. The other weird thing is, I think the height of the hills are constantly shifting around here, because it used to be when I would drive up to see my house and I would look out my side window and I could see all my lights and go, oh, okay, I've got the projector angled good, it looks good. And when I drove up to my house, I liked to look at the lights because they were really pretty. But now the lights are like above my car window. So I have to kind of smash my face down onto the steering wheel to even see my lights. Now the tree is, the land should not have actually, the land up at the top of my house compared to the street should not have changed. And the lights cover the whole tree. So even if the tree grew at the top, you should still be able to see whatever I saw last year. And now I just can't. I can't see it. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's just a tiny little minor thing, but yet it's huge because I can't explain either one of those things. It's just weird. Let's see. Yeah, I don't remember Tank Man. Weird thing is my mom doesn't either, and she should be old enough. She doesn't remember Tiananmen Square, the protest, because that was like global big hairy news. There was this giant protest in China, and they crushed it. Tiananmen. I guess, well, all right, I think the spelling, this was Tiananmen. I think the spelling changed a little. Yeah. Tiananmen. It's Tiananmen now instead of Tiananmen. This used to be T-I-E for me. Now it's T-I-A, but Tank. Even though he didn't die in my timeline, it was still a big deal because this guy stands in front of the tank and he makes it stop. And everybody thought he would. It was like a big symbol of bravery at the time. And people thought that, the chances of him getting run over were huge. So he was so brave. So in my timeline, he didn't have these grocery bags. And he made this stop gesture with his hand. And he didn't have the bags. In this timeline, he actually climbs all over the tank and stuff, too. And he didn't do that in my timeline. But apparently, in some timelines, he got smooshed and actually saw his head, like, pop open and stuff. So it was pretty grisly. I mean, it's not something that you would falsely remember, obviously. But there was for a while, I was in timelines where almost everybody remembered him getting killed. So it's interesting to me to have nobody on my stream right now remember that, because there was a while where it was like a whole bunch of people. Yeah, sometimes my feet can never get warm, Autumn Nicole's. I don't know, it's just like my whole body, and it's not, I don't even feel sick or anything. I'm just cold. And then once I get enough clothes on, I'm fine. But then later, I won't be cold anymore, like 2 hours later. Like, I've got all this on, and now I kind of feel like it's hot. I even had some mittens on earlier. And I mean, it's later. I know it's not warmer. We don't run the heater. It just gets colder. As to cold feet, you must guard against your extremities going blue and dropping off. Yeah, it's not really isolated to any one body part. Look up impossible or forbidden colors. All right. Now, we did cover the impossible colors where there was like, I think it was like pinkish and bluish or something. Where you see two colors at once. I think that's the one. We did cover that one. I'm going to type in forbidden because I haven't had that one. I have not seen that one yet. All right, I'm going to get some water here since the tea is gross. and needs to go in the microwave. All right, here we go. Impossible color. Colors that are impossible to see, normal seeing of light. Oh yeah, reddish green. That's the one I'm thinking of. Reddish green. Two types, colors that can be seen using the cone cells. I forgot the exact rationale, but basically they're saying that some of these colors, basically the brain's not set up to get both of the signals. So just one signal will be processed, but the cones are actually getting both signals. So there's certain techniques they can use to let that some people can get both signals and kind of see them at the same time. And it did kind of work for me, as I recall. I could kind of see them both. Okay, then the others is colors that cannot be seen directly from any combination of red. So it's supposed to be, I guess these ones are colors that the cones can't see, but can be generated in the brain's visual cortex by missing color signals from the two eyes or from more than one part of the same eye. I don't think I really understand the difference here then. Yellowish blue and reddish green. Those colors appear to be similar to, for example, both red and green, or both yellow and blue. All right, you could probably research that. I've kind of covered that a little bit in the past, I think. It's still strange to see trees move. Yep. Change shape. Although I sometimes think it's just the land moving and the trees goes with. I don't know. Okay, theory that the drones, the Gatwick drones that supposedly shut down the airport, I guess there's a conspiracy theory that there are no drones. Could be, who knows? Yeah, who knows? That there was something else going on. You just don't know what's going on anymore. It's impossible. Him being run over would be something I would pray to forget. Yeah, interesting. Nobody on here remembers him getting run over. That was such a big deal. I was like practically the only one in town that didn't remember him getting killed. Don't think it makes sense. Airport would stop for a drone. Had to be a UFO. Actually, they will. I mean, like a large drone going into the engine is quite dangerous. And there was several of them. That's why they work really hard to keep birds off the area as well. And especially in this timeline, there are photos of giant dents and severe damage even from just birds. So I do think that it makes sense for me that they would stop it for drones. Especially they're flying these drones right into the flight paths. Now, I'm not saying that I know for sure that that's what's really happened, but I do think it sounds logical. Does anyone remember the videos a few years back? The ground heaving up and down like it was breathing. I think I covered that one. Basically, it was trees that had shallow roots. In the high winds, the ground would heave. That was the storyline. Now, I don't remember ever seeing anything like that in my old timeline. They do have, a logical sounding explanation for it. Let me find. pretty sure this one will be easy to find, but forest floor in Canada looks like it's breathing. Let's go to videos. All right, let's just try this one. I might regret it because this one has a lot of commercials, but all right, I think that's the video I remember. So you can see the ground heaving up and down. Supposedly, it's wind causing this. These trees are not anchored down properly, is what is the storyline. Interesting, though, that you don't really see any wind here. But anyway, the new timeline's got a lot of weird stuff in it. That's all I got to say. What doesn't make sense is they could have hit the drones with an EMP. I don't know if they could have hit with an EMP without damaging all the electronics in the area, which they need for running the airport. My understanding is that they did shoot one of them down finally, and the other one then did not show up again after that, was what I heard. I didn't actually read that in the news. It was just somebody else I was talking to. I still can't understand how wind could blow trees up and down. What about the roots? Okay, so the story is that the roots, like that the amount of actual dirt is not very thick here. There's bedrock underneath. So there's only a thin layer of dirt. So although there's roots, they aren't able to anchor down very well. So you've got a big tree with little roots, and when the wind blows, the roots are not able to really anchor it. So what happens is when the wind blows, the roots rise up a little bit, is what they're saying. It pushes the whole tree. So if it blows this way, then roots here will rise up. And it makes it, the roots rise up a little and then go back down. It makes it look like the plant is breathing, like the soil is breathing. And that is the roots that are lifting, which are causing the breathing. That's the storyline anyways. It's like if you just planted a tree and it doesn't have hardly any roots growing yet, and if you planted a big tall one, sometimes they'll blow over. And that's basically kind of the story that they're claiming for that. Okay. Got that one. We're working on that one. All right. This is another one from Bob Bobertson. Now, I first heard of one of these a couple years ago, and it looks like it's becoming a thing now because there's another one over here in China. So it sounds like What on Earth? It's probably one of those science shows on TV, but I missed it. But they're saying in China there's this desert with a whole ton of these, there's a whole ton of lakes all on them. And what's weird is you have to go up to the tall sand dunes here, and then mixed in with the tall sand dunes are a bunch of these lakes. Now, there's a couple of interesting things here because they're saying that some of the lakes are saltwater and some are fresh. So that's really a weird thing, because if it's some kind of underground water source, then why isn't it all the same? Why are some fresh and some salt? Another thing they're saying is that these lakes, there's only like 2 or 3 inches of rain a year. So that amount of rain, even if it did stack up in a lake, should be evaporated off very quickly. It shouldn't. So they're saying it has to be some kind of underground source. Now, this is the second bunch of lakes in a desert I've heard about. There was another one, and I can't quite remember where it was, but it wasn't in an Asian country. I think it was maybe in like a Spanish-speaking kind of location, possibly. There was another one where they were saying this is a really neat tourist attraction because in certain seasons there's a bunch of these lakes in the desert. And it wasn't this China one. And they said it was fresh water. And the explanation at the time was that there was rock underneath the sand, and the sand would get kind of saturated with the rains, and the water would just build up. Now, that was the explanation for that other location. So now this is the second one now. So basically, it seems like we're seeing a lot of waters in the desert now. This is the second one. This is just 1 or 2 little piddly lakes either. There's a bunch of them. So I guess, all over, this is a lot of lakes. I mean, each one of these is a big sand dune. And these are big lakes too. They're not little puddles. So very interesting there. Very interesting. All right, they're talking about she had them, she didn't have them. I'm not sure what we're talking about on here. If she does, that's my first. Oh, the braces? Okay, we're talking about Dolly's braces. Are you serious? Some people, it's a flip-flop? That's interesting now. This is a whole new batch of people in this timeline. For me, it was always Dolly had braces, and then the big, fat, hairy Emmy that everybody freaked out was that she doesn't now. That was it. She had them. She didn't have them. She hasn't had them in a while. And this is the first time hearing of that being a flip-flop. This is really interesting. There's just a lot of new people in this timeline. But if she has braces again, I'm gonna have a kitty, because that was like the biggest Emmy ever. Now there was like a couple photoshopped photos going around of Dolly with braces, but they weren't really in the movie. Yeah, I saw a CGI that put braces back on, but not the actual film. Yeah, that's the timeline I'm from. Oh, Dark Wolf's Den. Phone at 8%. That's why you just plug it in and keep playing. You got to learn the strategies here, dude. All right. Rock Steady Rain, welcome. Don't know anybody here, but just start talking. Have a kitty. Yeah, it's just a saying, like you kind of flip out. Plume is on. Weren't you on earlier, Plume? Starting to get confused. Okay, so where are we here? Oh, okay. This is a really interesting one. This is definitely an Emmy for me. I actually think I've been looking at this maybe a few weeks now. She posted this about 4 or 5 days ago, and she said it was 3 days ago she noticed it. So it's about a week ago that this was spotted. And I have to say, I Thought something was weird, but I didn't quite put it together. But now that it has been pointed out, here's the old Chick-fil-A logo. Now, the classic ME is, well, there's a couple of them, but for a lot of people, it was not spelled correctly. It was CHIC, Phil, A. This K was not here. Now, I've definitely heard some people say it was CHIK, Phil, A for them. All right, but now there's another change. Now, these are the logos going way back. This one was before my time, so I wouldn't know about it. Current one. I mean, they haven't changed much. I don't even think I can hardly tell the difference between those. I guess there's a little more slant on here. All right, but there's one thing that does not look right for me. I don't know if it was there for you guys, but for me and for the person who noticed this, which was Amber 422, very good find, Amber 422. She says 1 week ago she noticed this change, and that change is this A. It is now a capital, and you can really see it on this one. For me, that was a lowercase a, and Amber 422 also remembers it as a lowercase a. So it was Chick-fil-A with a lowercase a. This tent-looking thing looks weird to me. It was just a little a. I mean, it's logical for there to be a capital A there, but it wasn't. And this whole Chinese character looking A thing, because like, hello, that is not the cursive way to write an A. This whole cursive, but that is not an A. So it's extra weird for me because that's not a letter in the English language that I know of, not in cursive. It's like I don't know. I don't go on and on, but that is not how you write A in cursive. So for me, this is a ME, Chick-fil-A. Second change then now for these people. The A was lowercase, exactly. Dark Wolf's Den remembers. The A didn't have a curly loop. Yeah, it was lowercase. Well, for me anyway. Let's see. Let me just see. What does the cursive script even look like these days? I mean, I don't think they even teach it in schools anymore, cursive. All right, so there. Yep, it's still the same. This is a cursive A. It looks like an A still. Now, I guess I could see why this doesn't look very exciting, so maybe they change it. But no, it just was a regular A before. It was not a funky, tinted kind of cursive, not cursive letter before. Just over here to make sure that the... I don't remember that Z like that, though. Well, I think it's close. V, and I think it's all right. I remember the Z going down below the line, but that could be a style thing. Yeah, my Z's were like that. Okay. So anyway, this is the cursive I remember. This one really is the cursive I remember. You can see that at no point are the A's funky at all. They look very similar to normal A's. So anyway, baloney's. That's one of the things that really sticks out for me is that is not even a letter of the English language. Yeah, it could have been a capital A that was done properly in cursive. There's not much difference between, as you saw, lowercase and capital A's are, it's just a matter of size because they're written the same. And here where we don't have a really good blocked out number of lines and stuff, it could be a rather subtle difference. But it definitely wasn't this TP looking thing. Looks like a Chinese character or something. Did you have rainbow turkey with purple sweet potatoes? Yeah, no, 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 thank you. We actually had steak. I wanted something that was just really easy, that we didn't have to start like hours in advance. And then it's kind of tricky sometimes with big chunks of meat because you're never sure exactly when they'll be done. Plus, we have some people who like medium rare, some people like rare, some people like really well done. If we have individual chunks of meat, then we can, roast the crap out of one person's well done steak and just put it in for 10 more minutes and their steak is done. And then the other people's can be pulled out 10 minutes earlier. So it just made it a heck of a lot easier to cook for each person. I mean, we've got people who don't want to see any gross blood anywhere near their meat. So anyway, it's just really easy. Plus, then you don't have this giant ton of leftover meat. Some words in French has changed. Even the grammar rules seem different. Yeah, what's that little hat thing that they have on letters now? Way back when I learned French, they did not have that. Forgot what they called it. It was other languages that had that. It took several years of French. I can't remember what that little thing was, but none of the letters, none of the words had that back then. I was actually kind of weirded out. I just saw that about 6 months ago on something. So anyways, Amber 422 gets credit for that one. And that one's a pretty good find. I don't know. It's just interesting because Chick-Fil-A just keeps changing. This is the second change for Chick-Fil-A that I've noticed anyways. The Z was always weird. Yeah. Well, the Z in cursive, but obviously Chick-fil-A doesn't have any Z's in it. My capital Z dip below. Yeah, the other one, it could be just a style thing that now with the fonts and stuff that they don't want to. Rainbow turkeys. Yeah, this one was one of my early MEs that I was saying, oh my God, look at these turkeys. I mean, there's so many now weird birds now, but this is one of the early ones. The rainbow turkeys, they're really, really pretty. They've got a lot more weird stuff on the head now than they did before. All these bumps, it looks like they've got hideous, cancerous ticks or something all over their face. A lot of the birds are getting that. Yeah, so they're really quite pretty. These are ocellated turkeys. Now, I saw these before, but their heads weren't bright blue with orange dots all over them before. Not that much, anyways. I think that the coloration has really intensified in the last few years as well. See if I can find one. They looked more like that before, and maybe that is how they look. I don't know. I mean, maybe this has just been run through a filter. Seems like it's the same one, but with the color cranked really hard. See, they're still brighter here, and this grass looks like a realistic color on there. So, I know sometimes the ME does that where sometimes the ME just has it where you're blaming it on Photoshop for a while, and then that becomes all of the photos. So this might be one of those instances, but beautiful bird. But yeah, look, the heads on these things are getting just ridiculously silly looking. If they don't teach cursive in school, how will the kids read American historical documents? Well, I have to say, I don't recall hardly ever reading historical documents in the original writing anyways, but I'm sure that if kids wanted to take, if they want to be historians, cursive is not that hard to learn. It's really not. I mean, there are people who learn whole languages just to study the history of a country, so... And, a lot of those letters really do look like the original letters. There's only some of them that are that different. You might not exactly know how to write it, but I think you could figure out most of the words. You saw the fang deer thumbnail. Yeah, nope, there was no fang deer for me until about 4 years ago. But these are interesting because they're just little tiny things. They're, what do you call them? They're deer mouse or mouse deers. So they're deer, but they're really tiny like a cat. They've got this fangs and then they got this big, long, sloppy tongue, too. Very weird looking things. I refuse to eat black chickens. The eggs and meat are black. Are their eggs black? I don't think their eggs are black yet. We're talking about silkies here, I believe. Silkies, black eggs. Their bones are black. Gray meat, skin, and dark gray bones. But the small cream or tinted eggs. Yeah, they're cream-colored eggs. My mother actually had silkies. Now, at the time that I researched them, they had black skin only. Then I heard that they had black meat and black organs. Then there was black bones. They're just slowly blackening, is all I say. But the eggs are not yet black. Maybe we'll see that, but right now they're still white. Because we had eggs from them, and they were just white eggs. The inability to read historical documentation, I think that's the point. I still think that it's just not going to be that hard to read it. You just have to look up a couple letters. And, you know, kids these days are so used to weird fancy fonts. And cursive is basically just a fancy font. I just don't think it's going to be that hard to read them. You know, writing it is harder than reading stuff, too, so. The big fang deer as well. Yes, Keokuk money. Those are the first ones I saw. There was only one breed. It was a large deer with fangs. Yeah, silkies are Chinese. Now, the story on those last I checked were they were thousands of years old. Nobody knows their origin except for that they were in China. When the first Caucasians got to China, they were already there he had no knowledge of how they were created. They were already an old breed. Amen Samani. Okay, those are the ones with the all right, let's see. Amen Samani. I know I've seen those. They have even more blackness. And you know, I had actually, when I learned about the silkies, I had researched them and all the birds like that, and there wasn't much. And these guys weren't on here. Amen Samani. These guys have like black wattles, and they're black, black, black. They're just pitch black. Now, I do recall, let's see what the eggs look like. I don't think we have any black eggs yet. They lay about 60 to 100 cream-colored eggs. Yep, no black eggs yet. Now, I do not meat and eggs too. Yeah, I don't think we have any with black eggs yet that I know of. All right, so where are we now? All right, this is a little, just a little one. Get the spelling right here. General Mattis, who recently resigned in protest of disagreement with the Trump administration. This is a spelling one. I don't want to get into the politics, but for a while I was seeing his name as Mathis. And then it was just like either yesterday or today, I suddenly noticed it was TT. I'm not sure how it was a long time ago, but it was definitely TH for a while. And now it's TT. That looks weird to me, so I'm thinking I have not seen the TT before. I think it was TH for the whole time. Now, you know, I didn't really know the guy like 10 years ago because he really wasn't prominent in in the public until he became until he worked for Trump. So anyway, I think that guy's name is, it's interesting because he just resigned, and then right when he resigns, his spelling changes. So I don't know what that means, if anything, but I have noticed that when people, their behavior changes with the shift. That's all I have to say. Fanged barking deer with spiral horns. I think I've seen these like about 6 months ago or something. Known as barking deer or small deer. Muntjacs, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, are thought to have begun appearing 15 million years ago. Yeah, right. Or last year. Oh, look at those horns. Cool. Neat looking guys. Yeah, I haven't seen any like that. There's probably like 50 species of them now. All right, so the one I was looking at. Club. Start at 30. Okay, so this one is from there's two people who mentioned this one in a short period of time, and they were both on Retconned. One was Sabina 090705 is her login name. And then the other one is Belthazar, Belthazare. All right, let me get to the spot where they play. So these little guys, they're just like cats. They call them mouse deer. Look at that freaking tongue. Look at that. And they've got, some of them have little fangs, and look at their little hooves. You would think that was some kind of funky mouse thing. But that tongue thing, look at that tongue thing. It's ridiculous. Look at that. Have you ever seen something like that? You could kind of see the fangs sticking out. Anyway, just weird. I mean, they're just like little dogs or something. Supposedly, there's even smaller ones than these out there, too. Look at the markings under there. Anyway, those are new for me. So good find, you guys, on Retconned. I was taught there were 4 types of clouds, and now there's 30. Yep. Oh, yeah. The clouds are ridiculous. Anybody think there's a difference between a personal ME and the ones we could all recognize? I don't think there's really any difference as far as the mechanism. It's just you can get more corroboration with something that's well known, but I just preliminal remembers Matthiis. That's interesting. Seems like it had an H in it. I am sure it had an H in it. I'm pretty sure I'm right on the spelling. There's a chance it could be Tthis, but I know there was an H. Because I remember thinking, oh, there's that H, but it's spelled TT. I mean, it's pronounced with the T sound. Because before I was wondering if it was math, like mathematics, Mathis. And then I heard them pronouncing it and, oh, it's a hard T. Well, if it was always TT, I would have never had that question. And I even verified it last week. I was like, okay, there's an H. And I saw it in multiple places. For sure there was an H. I have multiple Emmys that I'm like 99% sure, but no one is agree with me. I've had those, and later they'll shift. Keep a sharp eye on those. One that I have is the Chevy logo. This was my own private Emmy for some time. This was early on. I was new to the ME and I was a little bit less sure of myself on things. And I didn't trust myself because if other people didn't corroborate, I would just dismiss it in my mind. But I don't do that as much anymore. I mean, obviously you can't be as sure if you can't get corroboration. But so the Chevy logo. Now, this is actually my original logo, except for this weird cross shadowing that's in here. But my original logo had these uprights, and then here was diagonal. Now, what happened about 2.5 years ago when I learned of the ME is people were talking about some of the other car logos. So I looked at all the vehicle logos, and at that time, the Chevy logo had diagonals up here that paralleled here. So this was the diagonal. That was diagonal, 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 diagonal. So it was kind of tipped over more. And I kept looking at it and going, that is not how my Chevy logo was. My Chevy logo had this. And for a long time, I kind of mentioned it a few times. Nobody corroborated it. And I kind of dismissed it. I go, well, maybe I'm just wrong, because nobody else is seeing this at me. And then what happened is, I don't know, maybe a year ago, it flip-flopped. For me, it was a flip-flop, and now I've got these upright bits back. It's back to my logo. But right then when it went back, a whole bunch of people were flipping out that it had changed for them. This was the first time that they had seen the uprights, and they were used to the diagonals. So I think that probably means I was right all along, because this is a thing that switches a lot, basically. And the very thing I was suspicious of then flip-flop back. So I think this is one of those kind of unstable features of the timeline. So anyway, that's one of my personal MEs. So, in the end, I don't think it matters. One individual ME, does it matter whether it's an ME or not? I don't, unless you're learning something special from that one special ME, I don't think it really does. There's a ton of MEs, and probably a few of the ones I think are MEs are bad memory, but I don't think they all are. So whether I really just had a bad memory on one spelling or not, whatever, it could well be. Although it does bug me sometimes when I just can't, and I don't know for sure. It's like, I know it's different, but I can't nail it down. It's just irritating. The wildlife seems more hostile outside in general. Yes. More fangs, more poison, more spines, more stinging. I mean, even freaking broiler chickens have freaking claws on the wings. A lot of birds have claws on the wings now. But, humans are stronger too. So I guess, it balances. Animals in general seem less concerned about or scared of humans. The wild animals are definitely, some of them are a lot less wild. Alligators are less dangerous. You can have them as pets. Wild animals coming in, saying hi. I've even noticed the wild animals around here come a lot closer than they used to. Oh, speaking of personal Emmys, there's a lot I know around here too. Road changes, that kind of thing. Even ones I'm 100% sure of. My second closest exit to my house moved. I mean, I use that exit all the time. It's gone now. It's scooted down. It's into town. It's very inconveniently located for me. It's probably more convenient for a lot of people, but for me, it's now I got to go through all these stoplights and stuff to get to it. It's not worth going now. I almost never use the new exit because it's just too far away. My fiance, who is a mechanic, doesn't see the car logo changes, and he says they have been that way throughout the years, but he sees other ones. I don't know. Maybe it's another example of those who are really close to it. Maybe it'd be just too scary for them, and that's why they don't see them. I don't know. Alligators are pets. Are you in California? I am. But I mean, I've had this on the show before. People brushing alligators' teeth, and these are big gators. They got them on leashes, and not just little tiny guys. These are big guys who bite your leg. They were really mean in my old timeline. You couldn't trust them not to bite you. They would just bite anything. They were just biters. They saw food, they bit it. That's how they were. They were just real simple-minded that way. Now, you could control a little one by holding it on the back, and it was too weak to bite you, but you couldn't stick your finger near it because it would chomp them down. All right, so where are we here? All right, this is another one from Bob Bobertson. He's been keeping busy. He's probably got, he's got more links up this last day, but I just have not caught up with the last 24 hours of links. I'll have to wait till next week. It's been a very busy week, very busy. So these, we talked before about there being a lot of weird new tribes that have never seen humans. When I remember a few years back, there was only one tribe that had no major influence by regular humans, like civilization or whatever. They lived separate in the forest. There's only one. Now there was tons of them. But there's also been a lot of just weird rituals and stuff in some of these tribes. And this is one that Bob found. I have not heard of this until just now, but and this is one of those things that should have been everywhere. So the people of this tribe have a ritual where they take bullet ants and they somehow weave bullet ants into gloves. And from other sources, they were saying that they put some kind of drug on the bullet ant to get them to be sleepy so they could weave them in. They weave them into the gloves, and then the men have to put these gloves on their hands for like 10 minutes and tolerate the bites of these ants. Now, these ants are supposed to be the most painful sting of any insect in the world. Now, I've only just heard of the bullet ants in the last 3 or 4 years. We had fire ants, but I had not heard of these bullet ants. So they're a little bit older than me, but I certainly have never heard of this. And so they have to do this in different times through their lives. So like 20 total times. And they're expected to keep these gloves on while these most painful insects in the entire world sting the crap out of them. Very interesting. Never heard of it. Boys as young as 12 years old must gather bullet ants from the forest, which are then used to make ant-ridden gloves. The young men wear the gloves 20 times for 10 minutes, different times of their lives. Is it 20 times all at once? Performing a dance while those angry insects sting them. In its video about the ceremony, the bullet ant sting is supposed to be 30 times more painful than that of a bee, and each of those gloves contains dozens of ants. The ceremony is meant to show the men that a life lived without suffering anything or without any kind of effort isn't worth anything at all. Anyway, a ridiculously bizarre kind of thing that you probably would have heard about, but So it's the Satare Mawe people who live deep in the Amazon. Their ritual, reserved only for young men, is exceptionally painful in both a physical and psychological sense. Okay, so interesting find by Bob Robertson. Definitely suspicious about that one. All right, this is another one from Bob. Now, I've covered some of this stuff, but this appears to be a new aspect of it. So I've covered these ice shoves where the ice builds up on a lake and then the wind pushes it. Now, in my old timeline, it would just sit on top of the lake. The wind could not get enough grip on the ice to push it. But in this timeline, they have these things called ice shoves. Now, this is, it looks like a subset of ice shoves. I have not seen this particular type of ice shove. It's very beautiful. And they're calling it, what was it called? Chandeliering ice. So these ones, the ice breaks into these beautiful tiny shards. I do not believe this is sped up. I think this is real time. So then when the ice gets shoved along by the wind, you get this beautiful, it just looks like, I don't know what, like hairs or something. It's really pretty. Chandeliering ice in Medicine Lake, Minnesota. I don't think this is also, this isn't the video he found. He found another one. It seems that the super cool water and high winds created the perfect conditions for shards of ice to grow and quickly pile up. Right, there's not much traffic on that one. Let's see here. How? So they've got the whole explanation thing, so it should be a legit video. Changes in temperature can cause ice to spontaneously change from one form to another. In the case of chandeliering ice, the ice may change into a form or allotrope that takes up more space, pushing out onto the surface. Okay, super cooled ice crystallizes. This one is new for me with the super cooled ice. So basically, water in this timeline can become super cool. It's so cool that it should be ice already, but for some reason it's not, various reasons. The water remains a liquid below its freezing point. Now, I'm not going to say no, there was no such thing as supercooling. I'm not sure of that, but there wasn't a thing where it was common. Like now you can put water bottles in your freezer, and if you pull them out at the right time and you hit them, they will suddenly freeze right in front of your face. They'll just go like that and become like magic, like somebody cast a magic spell on them. And so the story is that super cooled water and the last jostling of me poking it and sloshing the water is enough for it to suddenly become ice. So apparently this super cooling business also has to do with this chandeliering effect. If ice on the lake melts yet remains below the freezing point, around 32 degree F, touching the ice or otherwise disturbing it may cause it to spontaneously crystallize. Oh, okay, so I guess that's what's happening here. It's not really an ice shove. I'm starting to get it now. So what they're saying is, see, this is the weird part here. If ice melts but stays super cooled, that did not used to happen for me. Ice would melt when the temperature warmed up. It would not melt but stay below 32 degrees F or 0 degrees C. It would still be ice. But in this timeline, it can melt but be super cooled. then I guess it jostles up against these rocks and stuff and spontaneously changes into ice crystals. That's really cool. I'm just figuring that out now, actually reading this whole thing. Do you have another explanation of the phenomena, or have you experienced it? Feel free to post a reply. Interesting. I don't know what else. Oh, here's the other thing. This one is really interesting. I'm sure that it was not in my old timeline. A lot of things make light now. Like now, in the old days, if you had a static electricity, then it would make light. If it was dark and you you got static on your hands or clothes, it would show as little flashes of light. But other things do it here. Like if you have tape and you pull it off, that will cause a light effect. If you do it in the dark, you'll see it. But also apparently the ice will do it here. Ice is a material that displays, I don't know the pronunciation, but I'm going to just call it triboluminescence, maybe triboluminescence. This means that light is produced when ice crystals fracture under stress. Now, this is a new one for me for the triboluminescence. I looked into the triboluminescence a while back when the tape was doing it. If you get the opportunity to watch an ice chandelier at night, you might be treated to sparks of light. If not, carefully watch your feet when you tromp through really cold snow. No liquid water, and you can view the effect. So apparently stomping through snow now creates a light effect. That's really new for me. Really new. Actually, I should look that up real quick here. Libo. Now, I admit that I am in California, so I don't stomp through a lot of snow, but there weren't many things that caused that effect in my old timeline. Learn about triboluminescence or lightning in your mouth. Okay. Lightning in your mouth? The heck? Is that supposed to be a mouth? All right, there's the yap about the triboluminescence. Oh, wintergreen lifesavers. Actually, I do kind of remember something about wintergreen lifesavers making sparks. Interestingly enough. All right. Sparks from a smashed rock. That triboluminescence before? No. Smashing quartz did not make light show for me. See if we'll ever get to this BBC Earth. It's loading really slow. Right, they're just talking about different crystals now. It's not really helpful. Anyways, I'm not really verifying this snow triboluminescence, but... Oh, okay, here is another one. Snow, quartz. All right. God, there's not a lot of info on this snow having the triboluminescence. You would think that this would be really well-known knowledge because stomping through snow is a pretty common occurrence in many places. Handy list of things that glow in the dark. I'm talking about objects and substances that truly glow on their own, unlike my list of things that glow under black light. So these are just things that glow on their own. Yeah, glow sticks, of course. When mechanical stress breaks the chemical bonds in crystals releasing light. Several materials emit light when crushed, including wintergreen candies, snow, and quartz. Now, I've covered quartz, and I do remember the wintergreen candies. Snow, though, I do not remember that glowing in the dark. I just don't. And there's almost nothing on it either. Maybe in the coming weeks we'll be able to find the triboluminescence of the snow. Let me just see if there's any images. I mean, there should be tons of images if this is happening. Tons. Look, I don't see anything. Snow in a vacuum chamber? There's just not much. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, we're not going to need the moon or the sun anymore if everything glows in the dark. I mean, we're heading there. It's like, I'm going to check out this vacuum chamber in case there's anything good in here. I mean, in the Bible, it does say that everything will be illuminated by God, basically. You got ice crystals magically forming. Everything's glow in the dark. Okay, snow in a vacuum chamber. I don't know what's going on in here. They got some snow. Looks like they're just melting it. I show water ice sublimating in low pressure chamber. Okay, there's nothing about the triboluminescence there. All right, so snow is triboluminescent, but there are 0 photos or videos of it, apparently, in this timeline so far. So keep an eye on that. I think we're going to see more. That might be like so fresh that there's not even any images of it yet. I just kind of stumbled on that one. Very much stumbled on it. Usually at least I've got a photo. There are many new stones and crystals today. That's a tough one because I'm a rock hound, and even like 15 years ago when I got into it, every year there were so many new ones. Just so many that I just couldn't even keep track of it then. So, I mean, I do think there's a lot more, and there's definitely more spectacular specimens every second. But, which ones were really new, versus ones I didn't know about. There's so many. There's just so many that I just gave up immediately. There's no way I could remember them all. Doesn't the point of freezing for water have something to do also with pressure? I could buy that maybe pressure would stop the freezing, but this is on top of a lake, so there's nothing pressuring it to not freeze. I mean, yes, it would make sense, but now it's sitting on top of a lake. It's just sitting there. Nothing is pressurizing it. At least for that chandeliering. The bottle of water thing I do all the time now. Yeah, I think that was about 4 years ago that one showed up. I have this friend that I swear to God, he's like plugged into the Matrix, because whenever there's something new, he just mentions it right away. And he'll be like, oh, have you seen blah, blah, blah? I'm like, how does he keep up with this stuff? And he'll say stuff. I'm like, that sounds ridiculous. That's not what I learned. And I look it up, and that's how it is now. That's the new ME. I don't remember the glowing snow, and there's a lack of info on it. Yep. Yeah, keep a sharp eye on that. This triboluminescence thing is spreading like germs. So, in the old days, I would say, well, maybe those are just incorrect citations, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to see more of that business. I've never seen sparks while walking in snow. Yeah, and they're saying it has to be a certain kind of snow. So I think this is a really new and developing ME. Keep an eye on it. It'll be a certain kind of snow, and it'll be rare, and then it'll be less rare, and that's how the ME operates. All right, so we got that one. We got the deer. All right, this one is another one by Bob Robertson. Good find. As usual, this one is extra weird. For me, anyway, because I'm into the animal behavior thing. I know. I have heard of ants being like farmers. But even then, that's been the last 10 years that I've heard of that ants will like farm things like aphids, fungus, and stuff like that. Even that does not go way back. But now we've got larger animals that keep other animals as pets. It's not just humans who keep pets anymore in this timeline. Giant tarantulas keep pet frogs. It's hard to tell if tarantulas domesticated tiny microhylid frogs or if the frogs decided to domesticate themselves. There was no freaking domesticated tarantula frogs in my old timeline. Tarantulas can be vicious killers, the kind of creature that can take down a venomous snake in a single bite. I do not remember tarantulas taking down snakes in a single bite. But I mean, I guess they are poisonous, but still. That sort of changes when they approach these tiny frogs. I mean, why aren't they eating these frogs? Scientists suspect microhylids just don't taste good because their skin is filled with toxins. So instead, the arachnids decide to keep them around as pets. Okay, I could see not eating them because they taste bad, but keeping them as pets? Microhylid frogs generally eat ants, one of the main predators of spider eggs. Arachnids get protection for their young, like how some humans keep dogs to ward off trespassers. And these pet frogs actually gain something by hanging around with spiders too. The small frogs feast off of what's left of the tarantula's prey. Just like you might feed your dog some scraps. Okay, so these tarantulas keep pet frogs. There's Mr. Tarantula. You know I have to have a tarantula in every live stream. I feel sorry for anybody who does not like spiders. So there's his little pet frog. I mean, I come from a timeline when they said humans only use tools and no other animals use tools. And then they finally said the chimpanzee uses tools. Well, no animal had pets. This is ridiculous. And there's some other ones. Okay, now this one is human controlled, so it's not as weird. But cheetahs use puppies as emotional support animals. Yeah, that's because we put them in there, so not as big a deal. A horse kept a goat as a seeing eye dog. Yeah, okay, humans again. Gorilla adopted kitten. But there's some weird ones down here. Let me get down to them. Elephant adopted a puppy. Okay. Keyhole limpets keep scale worms as guard dogs. This is another one in the wild. Keyhole limpets, tiny little mollusks, adopt scale worms to protect them from predators. They've already got hard shells, but that's not always enough to prevent an intrusion. For extra protection, limpets enlist scale worms as guard dogs. Scale worms are hyperprotective over their territory and go berserk if a starfish tries to make a meal out of its master. In turn, they live a comfy, carefree life inside the protection of the limpet's shell. All right, so interesting. So these limpets are just like carrying around these attack dog scale worms, apparently. Very weird. Potter wasps use mites as guard dogs. Potter wasps have a lot of natural enemies. To fend off those trying to harm their babies, potter wasps adopt mites. Mites happily live with potter wasps in exchange for food, just like our pups protect our homes for some kibbles and bits. If something decides to break into a wasp nesting area, the mites bite the predator until it turns away. This is another interesting one. Evolution has given wasps the ability to carry around their pet mites. They've got little built-in pockets that let them carry mites back to their nest. Whoever said you can't train a mite is sorely mistaken. Okay, so that's just weird. So we've got these insects with pet insects and all this weird. That is, all I have to say is that's a really good find. That's a really weird twist in the behavior of wild animals and the level of sophistication that they now have. I mean, you can't even imagine my old timeline saying only humans use tools when we have insects keeping pet insects, and they even have a pocket built into their body to hold their pets. This is freaking crazy. This one is really crazy for me because I'm kind of an animal person. This is just crazy. Flipping out on that one. Dolphins use tools. They do in this timeline. My old timeline, no, they didn't. Spiders keeping pets. Yep. But what's that last one? Oh, I got to memorize that one. That one's just weird. It was potter wasps. They've got like a pocket built in for their mite pets. Come on, people. That is just nuts. Potter wasps. They're hairy potter wasps, I swear. Butterflies drinking blood, deer eating meat. You know, these eating of the meat, like the hooved animals eating meat. That I'm seeing that all the time on Reddit now. Examples of stuff just gobbling down rats, and I mean, I'm not going to put it on here every week because it just gets old, but it's very much intensifying. I still haven't adjusted to dog paws sweating. Yep. This is real, but it was called a symbiotic. No, it was not a symbionic relationship. It was a symbiotic with a T relationship. Unless that word has changed, you never can tell. No, it was different before because it was more of a mindless thing, the symbiotic relationship. They just kind of, like, one found it convenient there, and so it stayed. But it wasn't a situation where the like in this case, what's different is these insects are going out and they're collecting these on purpose, and they're feeding them, and they're doing a special activity that yields, like this potter wasp even has a special pocket so it can go out and collect mites and put them in their pocket and carry them back. It shows intention. Now, before, symbiotic relationships were a thing where they co-evolved and they just kind of mindlessly did it. Like, there wasn't a bunch of planning. I'm going to go out and get me some of these creatures to live near me. It wasn't like that. That's what's different. These things show intention and training of their pets. I wonder if my dachshunds will go to university. You know what? I think dachshunds are a little bit too stubborn and a little bit too smart to get sucked into that game. Yeah, maybe they have a cell phone in the next shift in their little pockets. Yep, dogs are going to start to have pockets. Just wait. Herbivores eating meat. Oh, yeah, horses, cows. Apparently now just chickens will eat giant rats. I mean, chickens weren't herbivores, but cows and horses, if they see a rat, they'll chomp it down now. And I've seen a lot of images of them eating roadkills and carcass meat. It used to be they didn't have a taste for that stuff. They were herbivores, and they only liked plants. So they would just walk right past a carcass because it wasn't their food. Just like I walk right past grass and I don't eat it because it's not my food. Cats are standing there and cute kitten vids everywhere, but no one questions it. Yeah, their ability to stand has greatly increased and improved. And not just them, two-legged walking ability. I've covered it in some gorillas and some other animals too. Ability to walk on two legs is really spreading. Pet animals are way more goofy, cartoonish, yep, smarter, doing more human-like things. My cats aren't standing yet, lazy. You know, I've got this new cat that is kind of a stray, and he's really good at standing up. He's like a little, he's a nice cat, but we kind of call him the cobra because his head, when he wants something, his head just comes up like this, just as smooth like a cobra, and suddenly there's a cat head sticking up, and his face is next to your food or something. My old cats would jump up, they'd reach up, but this cat just kind of rises up on his back legs, really, just really smooth. It's just kind of weird. He's a very nice cat, but you know, none of my old cats would do that. This cat, he's got this like slinky back leg skill. And he's just so good at it too. You know, maybe the pets are like the humans. Maybe the younger ones are learning the new timeline better than the older ones. Does anyone remember Lois Lane pulling out a gun on Clark Kent in the first Superman 1978 film in an attempt to prove who he is? I do have a vague recollection of Lois Lane having a gun, and she looked stupid because she was holding it all dumb, and she was just I don't remember what the rationale, but I do vaguely remember that, me personally. I mean, who knows if everybody does, but all right, so where are we here? Oh, this one I just ran into it. We'd been talking about radiation in Japan not being a big deal, and where the two bombs dropped, they now the background radiation is no problem, and everybody lives there. So I saw this thing on radiation. I just kind of stumbled into it. Very weird. This is just goes against everything that I've ever heard. Get this clipboard. All right. A-bombs. Mortality. Let's see if that's enough. Should be enough to find it. All right. This one kind of blew me away because it was always radiation is bad, radiation is bad. Okay. Now this article, and where is that? It is from 2008, so it is kind of new, but still. Low-dose radiation from A-bombs, elongated lifespan, and reduced cancer rate mortality relative to unirradiated individuals. So the argument here is they're saying that radiation from A-bombs is good for you. It makes you live longer. Now, they did say that if you're really close to where the bomb went off, it was still bad for you and you didn't live as long. But they're saying that there was a U-shaped curve where basically if you were a little bit further away from the A-bomb and you got irradiated but not enough to really get you, you actually lived longer. Like it was good for you. So it indicates that low doses of ionizing radiation are hazardous in proportion to the dose. So a very high dose is bad for you. but then a medium dose is supposedly good for you. All right, so they're saying the old stories that it was always hazardous was a spurious hypothesis not based on solid data. All right, I'm going to see if I can jump ahead, but basically they're just talking about all their gathering methods and stuff. So you can look at that one yourself, but so I guess that's the new thing now is a little bit of radiation is good for you. What was their stupid story about it? Okay, adaptive responses, which include low-dose stimulation of DNA damage repair. So a low dose of radiation stimulates your repair mechanisms. See, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because any injury stimulates your repair mechanism, but lots of other injuries are not good for you because it just repairs what was damaged. And you've got scar tissue, and it may not repair it perfectly. So now they're arguing that this somehow, like, suddenly your body sends out a bunch of repairs and super repairs everything. I mean, why wouldn't your body just do that anyway then? Removal of aberrant cells via stimulated apoptosis. So basically they're saying here that there's the theory is you have cells in your body that are kind of sickly and they're supposed to self-destruct, but sometimes they don't and they could become cancerous. So this is saying they're stimulating those sickly cells to go ahead and off themselves. Elimination of cancer cells via stimulated anti-cancer immunity. So they're saying the old theories never incorporated consideration of these possibilities. So I don't know. Average solid cancer death ratios of both A-bomb survivors and NIC were lower than average for Japanese people, which is consistent with the occurrence of radiation adaptive responses, the basis for radiation hormesis. Anyway, it's flipping me out, but for many reasons, LNT must be revised or abolished with changes based on policy, with changes based not on policy but on science. So anyway, okay, so a little radiation is good for you now, I guess. Maybe these new bodies are tougher. I don't know. Okay, here's another weird one. You know, with all the doom and gloom, how many people have heard of global dimming? Apparently, this has been going on for a long time. The world is experiencing dangerous levels of global dimming. Global dimming. Who found this one? I think I've just ran it. No, you know what? This one was on somebody's. I think it was on Retconned. Somebody just mentioned it. Unfortunately, I didn't write down who it is, but whoever it was, good find. Good find. I got to try to write these down. Sometimes I'm so shocked by something. Okay. If radiation isn't dangerous, why do we wear those vests for x-rays? Yeah, who knows? Maybe next week they'll be like, oh, you don't need the vests. I thought Reeves at first, but now I think Reeve and my mind went put. It was definitely Reeves for me. And then when I heard of the ME, I didn't even know his name had changed. But yeah, there was an S on there for me. It's been Reeve for a while now, though, so people have probably gotten used to the S being missing after this much time. Do we now want to stand close to the microwave to live longer? Yeah, I mean, if it's so great, why don't we all just go for radiation treatments then? Since they all live longer. going to be the next Theo. I mean, if reality changes so fast, you don't know what to do. Stuff that was, I look back on this, and when I was a kid, I remember older people complaining about this stuff. That, first it's bad for you, then it's good for you, then it's bad for you, whatever. They're like, whatever, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. And in my childhood mind, I'm like, well, this new info, this new advice is based on better science and better info. So I was confident in the new info at the time. But now I'm like, now I understand why the older people were saying that. You don't know what to do, because first it's good for you and everybody jumps on the bandwagon, then it's bad for you and everybody jumps off the bandwagon. Now with the Mandela, I mean, who knows what you're supposed to do? I worked in hospital 8 years in radiology department. Well, maybe you'll live forever now. If radiation is so dangerous, how come Hiroshima was rebuilt at the same location right after? In my timeline, it wasn't. That was not done. Those areas were said to be uninhabitable for hundreds of thousands of years or something. Some people are saying it's not dangerous at all. Some are saying that's BS, it's dangerous. Heck if I know. How are you going to know? They keep changing the story. Is the old story bull? Is the new story bull? Is all the stories bull? I don't know. I do not know. Weird business. All right. I think this is the last one. Look at that. I've still passed 2 freaking hours. I didn't even have that many Emmys, but I've been yapping away. All right. Meteo. I've never heard of meteotsunami. Meteotsunami. I almost not even sure about how to pronounce it. Meteotsunami. So apparently, a sudden change in barometric pressure can create a tsunami. This is particularly interesting because they recently had that big tsunami due to a volcano and collapsing underwater. They think it's some kind of underwater landslide. So, that's pretty horrible. A lot of people just died from this tsunami landslide. Well, it's... I think we're getting into a world where anything can happen at any time. I mean, ice crystals can just appear. A wave of frozen fog can just freeze everything as if the magic fairy sprinkled her fairy dust. Suddenly you can just have a tsunami and not even know why. There's no earthquake involved or nothing. It could be an underwater landslide, or it could be a change in barometric pressure. Meteotsunamis are generated when rapid changes in barometric pressure cause the displacement of a body of water. In contrast to ordinary impulse-type tsunami sources, a traveling atmospheric disturbance normally interacts with the ocean over a limited period of time. Tsunamis and meteotsunamis are otherwise similar enough that it can be difficult to distinguish one from the other, as in cases where there is a tsunami wave but there is no seismic records of an earthquake. I've never heard of this meteotsunami. About 3% of historical tsunami events are known to have meteorological origins, although their true prevalence may be considerably higher than this because 10% of historical tsunamis have unknown origins. Tsunami events in the past are often difficult to validate, and meteotsunamis may have been previously misclassified as SH waves. I'm going to have to look that one up. I was reading about that like a year or two ago, the SH waves, but I don't remember what I was reading. Meteotsunamis are restricted to local events because they lack the energy available to significant seismic tsunami. However, when they are amplified by resonance, they can be hazardous. There was one that was 5 meters, that's 15 feet high, killed 3 people. This one I just stumbled on some weird some weird weather channel website. In some parts of the world, they are common enough to have local names: Risaga in Catalan, Milnuba in Maltese, Morobio in Italian, Abiki in Japanese, Skiga in Croatian. I don't know if anybody ever heard of these things. So you just have a tsunami out of nowhere then, basically. Particularly susceptible areas include Nagasaki Bay in the eastern Adriatic Sea, the western Mediterranean. If they're in Nagasaki, I mean, people should have heard of them. That's just weird. I have never heard of anything like that. Tsunamis were something I've long been interested in. When I was a kid, I used to just dream that there would be a tsunami that would kill everybody. It was like kind of an ongoing nightmare. So I've always had kind of an interest in tsunamis. Live longer than what? Longer than having a lot of radiation? No, it was longer than the base population that got no radiation. It was longer than unradiated individuals. Let's see, I think I wrote this whole thing. Reduced cancer mortality rate relative to unirradiated individuals. Yeah, I know. I know. It's hard to believe, but that's what they're claiming. Yeah, I thought they were like Chernobyl. Yep, that's how it was before. Time really passes quickly, and it looks and feels dark. Yeah, time is still speeding up for me. One thing I noticed this Christmas is there were hardly any Christmas songs. There were a lot of people in my neighborhood did not put up lights. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like we just did this, and so it's less special or something. I mean, the difference between last year and this year was quite striking, really. I mean, I think I'm the only one that have lights on my street this year. And I have those easy lights, so that it helps. But men could be lactating. Plume, don't you know men already lactate? You know that, right, Plume? If you think you made that one up, you didn't. That's already an ME. I don't know if I've really covered that one, but men can and sometimes do lactate. For those who don't know, human male breastfeeding is possible. Production of the hormone prolactin is necessary to induce lactation. So male lactation does not occur under normal circumstances. Spontaneous production of milk not associated with childbirth, known as galactorrhea, galactorrhea, can occur in males and females. Now, what I was hearing in the last few years is prolactin can be stimulated through emotional response. And so they were saying that some men have been known to spontaneously lactate due to emotional attachment to their children, their babies. What causes a man to lactate? Liver cirrhosis can cause lactation by disrupting the organ's hormone metabolizing. Health issues affecting pituitary gland or hypothalamus. So anyways, men can lactate now. That's all I have to say. Plume, what a horrible thought. Too late. It's already happened. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Time crystals. I haven't seen anything I haven't seen anything on time crystals. Wasn't Texas in the middle of the USA? That one has not moved too much for me. It's a little bit, I think, more west than it was. There's been some shuffling of some of the other western states for me, but it's still pretty close. Silver E55 has to lay down after hearing about the men lactating. Yep. I figured there's probably some people who didn't know about it. Saw about the guy, widow with newborn, lactated because no new mothers could. Yep. I think that I saw that about a year ago. Reality is gender bending. Yep. Hey, that could be convenient, though. The woman won't have to do all of the breastfeeding. Get those men to work, man. All right, global dimming, got that. I think that's everything. There's still some more links that I have not inspected yet on the channel comment section. So I apologize about that. I'm about 1 day behind, about 24 hours or so behind right now. I hope to get caught up this week. Last week was really busy. I was still sick for part of it. I was trying to get the house ready for entertaining yesterday, then cleaning up and blah, blah, blah. But I'm feeling a lot better. The house is all clean. All the Christmas shopping's done. So hopefully I can get caught up here. Look around Greenland, that area, all weird, even New Island. Yep, Greenland's gone way north. It's slinking up there where the North Pole used to be. It's almost touching the North Pole now. We're starting to hear people say that when we talk about Arctica, they're like, "Oh, you just got confused with Greenland." Well, Greenland used to be way down to the east of Canada, but it's been slithering up there. Good night, Psycho. Bedtime for Psycho here. Yep. It's 2:20 in the morning here, so I'm going to be cutting out of here. Hopefully I'll have better luck signing out. Greenland is the largest island in the world. Yeah, it's a lot bigger. I mean, people are blaming it on map, the way the map oh god, it's late. I can't even remember that word that they use for anyway, they're blaming it on how the maps are designed that makes stuff at the North and South Pole look larger, but it is getting larger beyond that as well. It did not used to be that big at all. It's hurtful to watch Earth map. Yep. Alrighty, anyways, thanks, Ghosty333. Actually, I feel pretty good now. Just been a long week, but I'm doing pretty good. I find it weird your Arctica had a solid landmass. Oh, it had a solid landmass. Some people remember it, some people don't like that, but islands move now. Yeah, I've covered that one a few weeks ago. There's some small islands that move around, officially move around, versus the Mandela Effect never happened and we're all crazy type of move around. All right, anyway, I'm gonna cut on out. Thanks for coming. I can't believe 2 hours and 20 minutes are gone already. Let's see. I got okay streaming. I must be sleepy. I can't even remember how to shut this thing off. Where is the thing? You can't find the shut off button. Let me shrink this thing down here. Such a tiny screen, so I expand the writing so I can find so I can read it, but now I don't. I wonder if they changed the layout a little bit. I can't. It used to be the off button was right there at the top. I don't see anything now. Oh, there it is. Okay. So theoretically, this is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline. Thank you so much for coming.